Hello, good morning. Hi, good morning, everyone. So, I welcome you to the Git and GitHub workshop. We'll just wait 2 3 minutes before everyone join, and then we'll kick off. So, I welcome everyone who have joined in, and this is going to be first series, like first workshop in our series for sort of interview preparations, where we will focus upon the things which are there and required for you to get placed. The plan is sort of that. So this will be a good hands-on thing which we'll do, and I'll show you multiple ways how you can push your application to from a Git and how does it work. So quickly, just before we begin, and I'm waiting for like 2 more minutes before the people join in. Those who have joined in, can you please help me out in the chat window? Have you ever worked at Git or GitHub, and have you heard about it, Git or GitHub? Have you ever worked with Git or GitHub or heard about it? Okay, perfect. Didn't work, not work, but heard about Git and GitHub. Perfect. Okay, so it's let's begin. Sufyan said he has worked. Great. So consider you are working on a project. Okay, let me just help you out with this part here. Consider you are working on a project. Okay, now you have your final year project coming up, or any sort of thing. So you have your project here, and in that project, now what you want to do is you have got an HTML file. Okay, you have got a CSS file, and you have got some JavaScript file. Let's say this is a simple website we have to create as a part of our implementation. Okay, something like that. Now you tell me how much, how do you, and you're supposed to be working with a partner. Yeah, you're supposed to be working with a partner. You tell me how will you collaborate with them? Like, what is the regular approach? See, without GitHub or without Git, basically how do you take that approach is something I want to show you. First, let's say there is a person A and there is a person B. Person A will do what? Start, like, they will sit together and they will say, okay, how about I'll create the folder, and this is my index.html, this is my styles.css, this is my main.js. I will write this file. At the same time, now there are multiple files which both of them want to work with. Make sense? Because they are partners in the project, they both need to have the same copy of the project. So they'll create the first copy, they will work. Then you know what will happen? uh, this is when they are working together in college or in office, let's say, but then they have to move out. They will go out, like they will go back home and they get free time, they want to work on it now. What will they do? They will make changes in the respective copies, and then when they meet back, what will happen here is something we are going to discuss. The thing is, they both come back. Now do you think so they both have will have to like collaborate on their projects and bring everything back in single folder now, because both of them have to sync their work? Do you face this problem? Like, if you have created a very small project with anything, you must have observed that, right? This happens, that you have got to work whenever it comes, and to club your work, what is the biggest problem you face? Yeah, what are one of the big problems you face in this situation? You must be facing some problems, right? That when you try to merge these projects, yeah, what is one of the big problem you face? Sync. Yeah, perfect, syncing the work. Because when two people, now good thing is what, let's say they created some new files. Yeah, consider they created some new files here. So this is okay, this is perfect, because then the folders will get connected together very fine. But the issue is when both of them, let's say, consider work on the same file. Yeah, this was the file they both worked on. So now it's not about even syncing, it is about that some changes are happening in both the situations which are not correct. Yeah, which are not correct. So that creates a big problem. Yes. And this sort of problems we have to, and do you think so if this was at college level, it will also happen in industry level? Now obviously when you go to industry or when you go to a company and you work on a project, do you think so they will only have one person working on a project? They not only have one, they have many people working on a single project. Yeah, they have many people, they work on single project. So now, and these files, for example, when we take up a small project, it is only 4 or 5 files. But when it comes to multiple projects, the number of file changes. So the number of file will goes in hundreds, correct? And at that time, when you try to sync this up, at that point, when you're trying to sync this scenario up, it will create a havoc. So that is when you have to understand and come into the picture. So I had created some of the solution based scenario. Let's see if you are able to catch that up. Okay. So I have certain questions, yeah, which we need to answer. My screen is like it's properly visible for you, right? The text and everything, I hope this is fine for you. Yes, can you quickly let me know in the chat window? Zoom is fine, like you are able to see it efficiently. Okay, perfect. Now, how do you maintain the versions of your current project you build? Now, let's answer this thing. Yeah, let's answer what. How do you basically? How do you maintain the versions of your current project? Now, let's say you started very first time. Yes, you started very first time. Now, I will tell you. While I was completing my masters, so that was back in 2013. Git was available, but I was not aware of it because why, like, no one ever taught me about Git. I was working for projects, but I never explored that area. Now the problem was, I created a project which was a standalone Java based application. So like Teamweaver sort of thing. I created a Teamweaver for local machine, without internet, on intranet. Basically, if you are on the same router, I was able to share the screen and do the chats and everything. Now the thing is, how do you maintain the different version of your projects you build? So I'll tell you what I used to do in 2013. I used to have a project, like I used to work on something. We have to maintain the copy of the file for version without Git. Yes, exactly. So I'll tell you what my experience was. I had created the first project. Then I used to give it a date. I used to keep that. So when I used to start next, I did what? I copied that project, kept it into another folder now, and like exact copy paste and changed the date, or and then started working on it. So after I'm done with that, I used to have that final, I have that final, have that final. So you know what? By the time, because it was a college project, I was working almost every day, at least in the last point of my masters. So I had around like 20-30 folders which were there, and then I finalized my project. I called it as final. Then my the person who I used to report to in college, like the way you all report to Arun sir, in a way I used to report to my HOD. She said, please make these changes. When I started making those changes, then she made changes to my final project, so it became super final. So by the time I was completed, I had around 33 folders available in my machine, which was a big problem. So I had so many versions, plus date will not give me any idea about how what the version is, right? So for that reason, you have to, like, how will you maintain? Yes, how will you maintain the versions of your current project you build? Again, you will go by the same thing. What if what if if you're not even maintaining the versions, and you have done, let's say you have connected to the database. After database, you added 4 entities. Now after you added 4 entities, you want the application to come back to a specific state. Like earlier you were working with 3 entities. Now you know your application was working very fine at that point. Now you have introduced the fourth entity and the things went haywire. The application broke somehow. Now what we will do? Is control Z the option? How much time will it work? You have made so many changes. So if you do not have the versioning, that will create a problem. So control Z is not an option. So you cannot go back to previous state just by that. Yeah. Now what if you want to share your application with other developers or make them collaborator on your project? Yeah. So rollback data